We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Joining me now is Trevor Loudon. Trevor, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
What a sad day. Here we've had on tonight Alan Dershowitz, Misha, who actually knew this young lady. And now we're talking to you because I want to get to this red-green axis. Something I said on radio today. Most conservative media in America, they're interested in clickbait and putting out sensational things. So most of the conservative media, they're not readers. And so most of them have no clue about the red-green axis. But you and I and Annie Cyrus and so many have been talking about the red-green axis for 15 plus years now. This was the red. This was the red of the red-green axis, was it not? This assassin?
Yeah, well, a young man who's been accused or arrested for this and who chanted about Palestine, his name is Elias Rodriguez. Now, for some time, a few years back, and I don't know if and when this ended, he was a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Now, that is probably the most militant communist party in the country and works extensively with CARE, Students for Justice in Palestine, a whole range of Hamas fronts. And they regularly chant about making the Intifada global. Now, they also say they do not approve of violence now that one of their former members has been caught doing this horrendous deed. But they talk about making the Intifada global. Well, what is the Intifada? That is a very violent insurrection against the Israeli government that involves terrorist acts, sabotage, assassinations, riots, etc. So, the Party for Socialism and Liberation is an openly communist revolutionary group tied to really radical Muslims and has no problem committing violent acts on American streets.
No, they don't. Let's pull up the clip, Reagan, and let's play it of what happened today again, because I want people to hear him shouting, free, free, free Palestine. And then somebody says, Hamdallah, like 2 or 3 times, which I think is Allah be praised. And, so again, in this assassination, you have the red-green axis showing up. The Marxist kid who reportedly did it. I mean, you would call him a Marxist, right?
No question. It's a Marxist-Leninist organization that he was affiliated with, a member of, for a period of time. I don't know how long, but he was definitely a member.
So you got the Marxist assassin, you have him killing Jews, free Palestine, and then someone says 2 or 3 times back to him, Hamdallah, Allah be praised. So the red-green axis is in the video, but I venture to guess very few of the media know it, or if they do, will report on it, including conservative so-called media. They don't have a clue, most of them. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very seldom mentioned. Look, we just had a whole period of riots since October 7th. We've had multiple riots in multiple college campuses across the nation. The communists and the Islamists are holding conferences together. They make videos about this. It is absolutely easy to find the evidence of this, but I've seen nothing about it on any of the major networks, including the conservative ones.
So Fox News,
it seems like this is a taboo subject.
So Fox News is not talking about that this guy's a Marxist.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen Fox News today.
But what is it you say that most of the media are not talking about then?
Well, they're not talking about the riots, the fact that Muslim radical groups and communist groups have been cooperating for over a year, since October 7th, in riots and rallies and protests and violent incidents all across America. It's obvious. You can see videos about it. They make videos about it. It's easy to identify these people. The media just isn't doing its job.
Here it is. Let's watch it again. Sadly, here we go.
Outside.
No. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Come from us! Free Palestine!
All right. So again, I don't know how this was such a major security failure, because the police are reporting, and you guys heard the guy, somebody responding back 3 times, Hamdallah, which is like Allah be praised. But when I went to the NBC website on it, they said that the shooting took place before 9 p.m. in the area of 3rd and F Streets in Northwest, an area surrounded by law enforcement offices. It's behind the FBI field office and the U.S. Attorney's Office. D.C. Police Headquarters is just a couple blocks away. So we were just there 2 weeks ago. We went past this place several times, actually. The couple were leaving an event at the museum when a man who had been seen pacing in front of the museum approached a group of 4 people and opened fire, striking the victims, Metropolitan Police Department Chief Pamela Smith said. First responders found the victims unconscious at the scene. Life-saving efforts failed. The suspect then entered the building and was taken into custody by event staff. Police said he told them where he had put the gun and implied he was the shooter, Smith said. Now, this is a massive failure in security. We dealt with this on radio today. But the fact that this man is pacing back and forth and the police never said, who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? You're obviously agitated. You're pacing back and forth. What's going on? I mean, this is bad police work. And then the man's able to get in the building. He could have killed multiple more people than he did, Trevor. And I dealt with this on radio today with Aaron out of Israel and Olivier Melnick. And we both agreed much of the Jewish community and Americans, but much of the Jewish community, I don't think they understand like they should how vulnerable they are. I know they understand there's problems, but we heard from Olivier Melnick on radio today that he's talking to rabbis that are not nearly taking the threats against the Jews in America seriously enough. And how a guy can walk back and forth and pace back and forth and not be questioned by the police is beyond me.
Well, this is Washington, D.C. police, is it not?
Yes.
You know, are they going to have a big presence? They're going to be allowed to have a big presence around the Israeli embassy? You know, this is you're talking about an extreme left government in power here who probably doesn't like even having an Israeli embassy in their city. So, it's vulnerable, and I think Jews all over the country should be very, very concerned. I've a good friend out in California who was standing for Congress out there, and during her canvassing in Los Angeles, she was meeting tons of Uzbeks and Tajiks and Syrians living basically in hanging around the car parks of the supermarkets out there. And they were coming across the border. They were given places to live by some benefactor, and they're all working rideshare apps. You know, they're all working Uber and Lyft and DoorDash. So they were getting to know the city, and they were getting to know where the Jewish delis were and who ordered from the Jewish delis. And I believe there was no reason these people should be here. These are not people from traditional immigrant source countries. And my friend Melissa, who's very, very clued up in national security, was watching this for a long time. And her view was, and she talked to police officials about this, who were aware of this issue, that they were there basically getting ready for the day. And so they could just mark out Jewish preschools, mark out Jewish schools, mark out Jewish homes, and just go crazy. And it would take, it could be just one certain day, and LA would grind to a halt. And it might be other cities as well. So how many people like that are here? How many Hezbollah, Hamas, and other radicals have come across the border in the last 2 years, thanks to the almost late and very senile Joe Biden?
Mm-hmm. Here's what Caroline Leavitt had to say at the White House today.
President Trump is saddened and outraged over the brutal murder of 2 Israeli embassy staff here in Washington, D.C. last night. Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram were a beautiful young couple. In fact, we learned that Yaron was planning to propose to Sarah next week in Jerusalem. Yaron's father, Daniel, spoke about the young couple's devotion for one another this morning. He said, "They were in love, one for the other. The embassy told us they were like a star couple at the embassy. I never expected something like this. He had his whole life before him." These words, especially every parent knows, are heart-wrenching. The evil of anti-Semitism must be eradicated from our society. I spoke to the Attorney General this morning. The Department of Justice will be prosecuting the perpetrator responsible for this to the fullest extent of the law. Hatred has no place in the United States of America under President Donald Trump. Everyone here at the White House is praying for the victims' friends and families during this unimaginable time.
Well, let's pray that this is swift and it's not dragged out for years, that there will be capital punishment and it'll actually be carried out not 20 years from now. Trevor?
Well, I think there might be an insanity plea here because I think man is disturbed. But yes, I hope justice is served. But
I don't believe the guy's insane, do you?
I think he may be.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
The fact that he was pacing like he was doing, the fact that he made no attempt to escape. I think this was a guy who has been on the left. A lot of unstable, mentally ill people get attracted to left-wing groups. He got thoroughly indoctrinated. He got his hatred levels ramped up. And he's probably been wandering around, wondering what to do for a while now. And now the opportunity's presented itself. So I suspect that's what's happened here. He's a lone wolf that's been egged on, but I may be completely wrong. But the fact that he didn't even attempt to escape leads me to believe that there's a degree of mental illness associated with this case.
Well, that also means that the problem is, I don't know what to say, possibly even worse, but I say to my wife all the time, it's the one crazy person, okay? There are the ideologues, right? But that one crazy person who's got the ideology mixed with their mental issues are psychotropic, crazy drugs that have, almost all these school shooters are on those, by the way. Ask Dr. Peter Breggin. So that's what I say continually to my wife over the years. And even when we hired security for our event in Wisconsin, I said, all it takes is one mentally troubled individual. And so to think that these people, some of them who are led to this, but then some who are very prone to it due to their mental instability are being propagandized, then this is a bad prescription either way. But what it really means is no one is safe anywhere because, again, you're not dealing with someone who's at all rational and thinking about getting caught because he didn't care if he got caught. He surrendered.
Well, look, the left has been out there targeting prisoners, transgenders, and the mentally ill for recruitment for some time. And they will mobilize these people. They will turn them into militants. And if these people go out and do something, well, that serves the revolution. But you can't, it doesn't go back to the Communist Party that trained them. They can avoid responsibility. So there's many levels of threat out there, Brandon. There are the lone crazies. There are the hundreds of thousands of militants in the country. And I believe there are probably Weather Underground type organizations already been formed in this country. Plus there are Hezbollah, Hamas, and Chinese nationals who have snuck across the border with evil intent in mind, who are militarily trained, ready for the time. So I think it's all of the above. And I expect this will not be the last incident we see this summer. I expect to see some very, very serious incidents.
Why this
And
summer? Why do you think it's
wrong.
going to ramp up this summer, Trevor?
Well, because it's summer's the time of tensions increase. A lot of riots happen in the summer. Riots don't happen in the Northwest in the middle of winter. They don't happen in Minneapolis in the middle of winter. They happen in the spring and the summer. And the summer's a time of heightened tensions and, hot days and mugginess and, irritability and all that kind of thing. You can stir people up in the American summer more easily than you can in winter or fall or whatever. So it's just a biological thing. But
ceasefire
I
deal
think
on the table right now that the White House
sorry,
is hoping both
Sorry
Israel and
about
Hamas
that.
will sign.
Well, that wouldn't even turn off now. All right, there we go. Trying to back it up. All right, that was my. Okay, so anyway, I do want to play this clip. I was trying to cue it up here, but it's not behaving. Twitter has been under attack apparently today, so a lot of their buttons aren't working correctly. This is a congressman. He just won from Florida, your state. I don't even know if it's going to play. We'll see. But he won in your state. I had the chance to actually meet him when we were on Capitol Hill. Here we go. Nope. It's not going to play probably. Twitter is under massive attack today. A lot of their buttons aren't working. They also, their search button disappeared, and then it still hasn't shown back up. So, yeah, someone's going after Twitter/X today. But anyway, the congressman is a Jewish gentleman. He won in Florida, and his name is Randy Fine. You know who Randy is?
Yeah, I do.
He just said Gaza should be nuked. The Palestinians cause an evil one, says Randy Fine. So yeah, there's a lot of tension on this, and your statement is you believe this is only going to increase.
Well, I do, because since October 7th, you've got multiple fields out there where tensions are high. You've got Ukraine, you've got Palestine, you've got Iran, you've got India, Pakistan. You've got the Far East. You've got a lot of tensions, and all of these people fighting these wars, on the bad guy side, want to distract America, want America focused inwards rather than outwards. So a whole range of terrorist actions or sabotage events or biological weapons attacks would serve the purpose of several foreign countries, from Russia to China to Iran to whatever, to just get America off the international stage and focused only on internal matters. And terrorism would be the perfect way to do that. And we know the people are here. Hezbollah and Hamas have been infiltrating for years, if not decades. The Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, Venezuelans, Cubans, they're all here. They're all ready to go. And we're on the cusp of World War III here. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen in a week. There's so much tension out there. So the minute hostilities break out around the world that involve America, you can bet there's going to be sabotage and assassinations on our soil. That's what I'm betting on, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I look like the biggest idiot at the end of the year, and we all have a happy Christmas and a Merry New Year. But from what I know and what I'm talking to people who do know these things, we should expect more of this, and people should be getting prepared for that now.
Mm-hmm. Trevor, your website's trevorloudon.com, trevorloudon.com, and folks can also buy his books there, trevorloudon.com. Follow him at Trevor Loudon on X. And I guess the big takeaway point here is, again, highlighting the red-green axis. This guy reportedly came out of a Marxist group, and the Marxist and the Islamist have united.
Yeah, well, look, Carlos the Jackal, the famous Venezuelan terrorist, said that America would be brought down by an alliance of radical Islam and Marxist-Leninists.
That's right.
And
Carlos
we have seen that play out on our streets this year. You know, why are all the communist groups around the world supporting Hamas? Because they have a common enemy. They hate Israel and they hate America, the little Satan and the big Satan. And they're coming for us, and they're already here. You know, Canary Missions put out some great videos recently with Muslim activists, radicals, Marxists speaking at conferences in America, saying things like, many of us will not be here by the end of this year.
What?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, saying this. Many of us will not be here. And the clear implication is they're going to get violent, and they know some of them will die.
And who is putting these videos out?
Canary Mission. It's a great site that highlights a lot of Muslim radical activity on college campuses and that sort of thing. But I'll send you a link,
please.
And you know, it's a.
So the Islamists themselves are saying a lot of us won't be here by the end of the year.
Yeah, some of us will not be here by the end of this year. Things are getting so critical now. Some of us will not be here. Well, why won't they be here? Because they will be involved in terrorist activities, and they will be they will be fighting the cops, and some of them may not win.
Is this one reason why Kash Patel has said that the FBI headquarters is not a safe place for their employees? It's just too it's not like protected like you have the CIA building or the Pentagon or the White House.
Well, look, Washington, D.C., which should be one of the most secure places in the country, is one of the least secure, because you've got a radical left-wing government that hates the cops, hates Israel, and loves Antifa, and loves Black Lives Matter, and doesn't do a proper job of policing unless they want to round up some so-called right-wing insurrectionists on January the 6th. And so...
Yeah.
Ceasefire deal.
Here we go. I think finally got that clip to work. Let's see if this will play now, guys. Let me go back to the beginning. Here we go. Now it's not going to play. Isn't that crazy? Their player is so messed up tonight. Pull that down. I had it playing at one point, and then it won't quit. Poor Elon. His group must be under massive attack today and tonight, because I've not seen this happen in a while. But anyway, I wanted to play what the congressman in Florida was saying, but like I said, the player's all messed up. Okay, maybe I'll get it playing here in a minute. But closing comment?
Well, just be prepared, everybody. And I don't say that because Brandon deals in preparation materials. But look, I know, and friends of mine know, we're hearing the whispers. We're looking. We read the left stuff. We read the Muslim stuff. They are preparing for violence on the streets of America. And that could take multiple forms. So if you need medicine, get supplies of medicine, get generators, get food, be prepared to have no services for a period of several days or maybe even weeks at a time.
And Gordon Chang is saying the same thing. Gordon Chang is saying the same thing.
Exactly. Look, Gordon reads the tea leaves. He is very plugged in to national security people. He knows that the Chinese nationals that have come here are not coming here for holidays or anything like that. They're coming here to commit major violence against Americans when the time is right. If I were Trump, I would be concentrating on deporting those people. I'm not a fan of Trendy Aragua or MS-13, but they're just going to kill and rape. They're not going to, do mass terror acts. The focus should be on rounding up the Hezbollah, Hamas, and Chinese nationals that are here now, waiting to do their tasks.
Well said. TrevorLoudon.com. TrevorLoudon.com. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Well, thanks so much, Brandon. And look, there's a lot of dark stuff going on, and we're all horrified by the killing of this beautiful couple. It brought tears to my eyes, and that doesn't often happen. But there's still a lot more hope in America today than there was a couple of years ago, and we have to make sure that hope is fulfilled.
Well said. Well said, Trevor. Thank you, my friend. Trevor Loudon checking in tonight. Wise words. Absolutely. All right. I wanted to get that video, but it's just not playing. Poor Elon. His system is under massive attack tonight. I'll tell you that. I wonder who would be doing that and why. Here we go. I think I got it.
White House is hoping both Israel and Hamas will sign on to Does this shooting change anything when it comes to the course of the war or the negotiations to end it?
Well, I think it speaks to the importance of the only end of the conflict is complete and total surrender by those who support Muslim terror. In World War II, we did not negotiate a surrender with the Nazis. We did not negotiate a surrender with the Japanese. We nuked the Japanese twice in order to get unconditional surrender. That needs to be the same here. There is something deeply, deeply wrong with this culture, and it needs to be defeated.
We heard in Brooks'
ceasefire deal on the table now.
There you go. And we just met him up on Capitol Hill and want to have him on the broadcast soon. Congressman, Jewish gentleman from Florida. There you go.